And although the subject of genetics, or inherited characteristics, is widely recognized as of central importance in bodybuilding and athletics, it is rarely understood. Individuals inherit characteristics peculiar to their parents and not common to the species, examples of which are height, eye color, blood type, and body type. These are referred to as fixed genetic traits, and thus not typically subject to alteration from exogenous influences. There do exist other inherited traits, however, such as intelligence and muscle size, that are not absolutely fixed and can be progressively altered, although within a genetically prescribed range. Along with specific psychological motivational factors that the individual must possess or acquire in order to achieve his goals, genetic element is the primary factor determining both the rate of response to intense exercise and the degree of muscular development. So, while anyone can improve upon his level of muscular development with proper training and nutrition, only a small percentage will possess the requisite genetic traits to become champions. The most visible of the physical characteristics necessary for the development of a top physique is related to the skeletal structure. The formation of the bones dictates not only how much muscle can be supported, they also determine a significant aspect of the aesthetic quality of the physique. The actual size potential of a muscle is determined to a significant extent by its length. Skeletal considerations and muscle belly length, however, are only two inherited characteristics which affect physique potential, and were discussed briefly here merely to introduce the listener to the subject. There are numerous others, including muscle fiber density and recovery ability, an elaboration of which is beyond the scope of this work. Some may recall from my book Heavy Duty One that just as there are those individuals who do not tolerate exposure to high-intensity sunlight stress as well as others, so there exists a similar situation with regard to individual exercise stress tolerance, with those who don't tolerate exercise stress well at one extreme and those who do at the other. To advocate that all bodybuilders, or any for that matter, should train for hours a day is like suggesting that everyone, without regard for genetic considerations, should expose themselves to the intense summer sunlight at the equator for 2 hours. And when I speak of the dangers of overtraining, it is not merely that overtraining is counterproductive in that it hampers your training progress. It may be life-threatening, as the recent research of Dr. Kenneth Cooper indicates. This is not so difficult to understand when you consider that intense weight training is a form of stress on the human physiology. And who has to be reminded that we are all rather delicate and vulnerable as living organisms? It only stands to reason that chronic, gross overtraining could inordinately tax the overall physical system and possibly result in a breakdown where there might be a weak link such as the glandular system. Dr. Cooper, in fact, attributes the lymph cancer of Lemieux, the hockey great, as well as that of Marty LaQuarrie, the distance runner, to overtraining.